Andy, my dude, have you heard of the magical website builder known as Squarespace?
Ugh, not another Squarespace ad. I feel like every podcast is sponsored by them.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Yes, okay, it is overhyped, but actually it lives up to the hype. Squarespace is like a website fairy godmother. With a click of a button, your site transforms into a beautiful masterpiece.
A website fairy godmother? That sounds interesting. What makes it so magical?
Well, for starters, those slick templates make anyone look like a professional web designer. Pick one, customize the colors and fonts to match your brand, and voila. Plus, the drag-and-drop fluid engine is so easy, your grandma could build a site on Squarespace.
Well, she did knit me a lovely scarf last Christmas. Maybe website design is next.
Exactly. And when you're ready to sell your Nana's handmade scarves online, Squarespace has built-in e-commerce. Add a store with one click. Get flexible payment options. Then watch those sales roll in. And when she wants to teach others her steezy scarf skills, Squarespace's new courses feature is just the ticket. Nana can set up her curriculum and enrollments and payments in a snap and become the next e-knitting influencer.
Oh, wow, you really sold me with the grandma angle. Sign me up for that free trial.
Just go to thenextreel.com/Squarespace and transform your site into a beautiful Squarespace masterpiece.
Well, thanks, Pete. Even though it's overhyped, Squarespace actually sounds perfect for Nana's site's needs. Appreciate the warning on the ads, though. I'll brace myself next time I listen to a podcast.
Anytime. Let me know if you need any help getting that site up and running. Andy, can you believe we've almost hit 700 episodes of The Next Reel?
I know, it's crazy. And with all the other episodes in our family of podcasts, we are well over 1,200 episodes of movie conversation. It's really pretty amazing that we've gotten to have these in-depth movie chats every week for over a decade now.
And we couldn't have done it without our loyal community of film fans. Their support over the years has meant so much.
For sure. That reminds me, we should give the merch store a shout out. Buying shirts from thenextreel.com/merch is a great way listeners can continue to support the show. Plus, they get to sport our great designs.
Absolutely. I think sometimes folks forget we have a variety of shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more available. In fact, a great place to start is with a shirt sporting the Next Reel's logo.
We also have that classic Fast Times Spicoli Surf School tee, or the weirdly popular Rusty's European Tour shirt.
The one from National Lampoon's European Vacation. Why is that so popular?
Search me, but we have sold a ridiculous number of those. I guess there are a lot of Rustys taking trips to Europe?
We're always adding new designs based on movies we've covered, like our brand new design for a streetcar named Desire, featuring a streetcar named Desire. So if you want to rep your love of TNR and films, head to thenextreel.com/merch.
Every purchase helps us continue to have these weekly in-depth conversations. So visit thenextreel.com/merch today.
And as always, thanks for listening and being a part of the Next Reel community. We've got lots more great movie chats coming your way.
Hey guys, this is Andy.
Yeah, this is Pete.
We are about to kick off another Speakeasy episode, but we did want to give you a warning that this one's not exactly as safe for every pair of ears that might be tuning in. There might be a little bit of language in this one, and that's okay. We just wanted to give you a warning.
I think it's fair to say that might is actually putting it lightly. There is some language. There is definitely categorically some language. Our guest is wonderfully, colorfully enthusiastic, and we decided that it's just really great. So we're leaving it all in. So if you have kids, if you're in the car, go listen to an older episode and pause this one. Come back to this one later. You'll enjoy it.
And here it is. Yes, you will.
Same make.
These were taken at the West Highland Police Station, 1984. You were there.
Same model.
These were taken today.
You have to let me see my son. He's in great danger.
New mission. Once, he was programmed to destroy the future.
You don't know what it's like to try to kill one of these things.
Now, his mission...
Get down.
...is to protect it.
Come
Come with me if you want to live.
You're really real.
His loyalty is to a child.
Who sent you?
You did. 35 years from now.
And his enemy
He's a Terminator like you, right?
Not like me.
is the deadliest machine ever built.
Can it be destroyed?
Unknown.
This time, there are two. Terminator 2.
Welcome to the next Real Speakeasy on rashpixel.fm. I'm Andy Nelson, and that over there is Pete Wright.
Say, that's a nice bike.
Each month on the next Real Speakeasy, we invite an industry guest to join us, and instead of serving up their favorite cocktails, they serve up movies that they love so that we can all talk about them. We'd like to welcome our guest to this month's show, costume designer Sarah Trost. A fourth-generation filmmaker, Sarah grew up in rural Northern California where she developed a gritty and rugged Wild West spirit that would inevitably weave its way into her work. At the age of 10, Sarah started sewing her own clothes on an old Singer sewing machine in her family's garage, turning the lush fabrics of old lingerie into play clothes and Halloween costumes. Her talent led her to graduate magna cum laude at FIDM, a prestigious LA fashion school, and years working in the Warner Brothers costume house. She went on to assist several prestigious designers on such projects as Nacho Libre and Fantastic Four. Sarah's always broken the mold and was the only LA contestant accepted to Project Runway, where her honest and down-to-earth nature quickly made her a favorite in Season 8. Notably influenced by fantasy and adventure movies of the 80s, Sarah has also been impacted by her global travel experiences, including places like Australia, Southeast Asia, South America, Easter Island, and many odd corners in Europe. She currently focuses her energies primarily in the world of costume design for feature films such as The FP, K-11, and TV shows like HBO's new comedy Vice Principals. Say hello to the folks, Sarah.
Hello, folks.
First of all, thanks for being this. For doing this show with us. Have you ever actually played Dance Dance Revolution in which one of the competitors dies?
Yeah, it's called the FP. We live
That is diabolical.
Yeah, it's some real shit.
That's your family, right? Those are your brothers?
Yeah.
That is epic. And Beats of Rage, the FP Part 2.
Oh, man, it is coming and like...
my heart is a flutter. I watched the trailer and the eye patch. You had me at eye patch. That was awesome.
Well, obviously, I don't know. I don't even know where it is so much different from the first one, and it's like
there's some sort of new territory they're dancing over, or
yeah, no, it's like the Mortal Kombat sense. So it's like we're going out to we got to leave the FP to go to the major tournament. So
God, that's fantastic.
Shit's about to get real. It's about to get real weird. People are it's gonna polarize the fans. You're gonna want it or not want it, but it's gonna happen to you.
We're doing a series. We're doing a series on this very show. FP.
That's fantastic.
That's fine. I'm actually looking. I've got sketches on my wall right now. I've got pieces that I've been collecting. I mean, we're right in the middle of it. It's starting. So
it's on the list.
Yeah, you've got to watch it. So watch it with some friends. Watch it with a couple drinks for sure. It's like a 3-drink minimum of a film. If you enjoy, which of course, if you guys love T2, if you love anything about 80s or 90s action movies and jokes in general, watch the FP.
Awesome.
But that is not why we're here today. Andy, why are we here?
No, we are here, Sarah, because of all the movies that you could talk about on this show, you chose to talk about Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yes.
A fantastic, fantastic action film. Why is this the film you wanted to choose?
Because it's the best action film of all time.
Excellent.
If you didn't
Good answer.
know.
We like that. In case you didn't know.
I mean, honestly, it was pretty tough because you guys were like, oh, just pick one. And I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to pick one? I've got like 8,000 favorite movies. And so I'm just like thumbing through the DVD books or whatever. And I'm just like, I mean, there were a few that were top contenders. I almost picked Back to the Future 3. So you're lucky I didn't.
Back to the Future 3?
Yeah.
Who picks Back to the Future 3?
Someone who enjoys pacing and having a good time.
Somebody who clearly doesn't recognize the magic of self-tying Nike laces and flying DeLoreans.
That was in the second one, thank you.
I know, that's what I'm trying to say.
What I'm trying to say is somebody who doesn't appreciate the Wild West. Mm-hmm. It is a Doc Brown love story, and it is expert.
Back to T2. I could tell where this is going.
I figured as much.
Yeah,
anyway.
So Terminator 2, this is really one of the great action films. I mean, it truly is. Had you seen the first Terminator film like when you were a kid? Is it something that kind of stuck with you, and this was one that you immediately wanted to go out and see? Kind of, what was your kind of entrance into the Terminator world?
Okay, I will give you a story. It's a fairly personal story, which personal for my little brother, so he's going to be pissed about this. But I may have seen the first one before I saw the second one, but I think I saw the second one first, honestly. I was only like 8 years old. Okay. So I'm like 8 years old. My little brother's 4. Why are we watching Terminator 2? I don't know. But anyway, we go to the theater.
Podcast. Don't worry.
Well, okay.
Judgment free zone.
So we go to see Terminator 2, and I just fucking loved it. And my little brother just lost his mind. 4 years old, in love with Terminator. Terminator dies at the end. Spoiler alert. He's weeping. He's fucking crying so hard. Like, my dad has to carry him out on his shoulders. It's insane. So it's a big deal for the Trost kids.
So you fell in love with this movie because it made your younger brother cry.
I don't know. We just there was just like a certain connection with it, and Jason loved it so much, and he would dress up like it. He had all the toys. We would watch it all the time. Also weirdly, Sarah Connor might as well be my mom. Like, it's my mom's pretty tough.
Well, I mean, and I think as a kid watching it, I mean, there is a kid as one of the characters in the film. I think watching it and seeing kind of the story unfold through the eyes of a young John Connor, Edward Furlong, in his initial film. I mean, he's supposed to be 10. I think he was 14 at the time. Yeah. I think that there's something, as a kid watching this movie and kind of being introduced to this with a kid that you can kind of go along for the ride with. I think that's definitely a strong point that you're making here, is that it's very easy for kids to get into this franchise with that in mind.
Well, and it's just so awesome. There's here's this person that is just meant to protect you. He has no other goal in life other than to protect you. It's fucking awesome. And at the same time, we were born and we grew up in Northern California, but we also grew up in the Valley, and all those scenes, one of my favorite stunt scenes ever, when Arnold's on the bike and he fucking comes off of that corner down into the wash to chase the semi truck, which is a real stunt, which I love real stunts, because I don't know if you guys know, but my dad does special effects, and so we grew up with practical effects and stunts and all just the old school, all of it. But we used to ride bikes in those same washes. You know what I mean? We as little kids, we did a lot of this kind of stuff. So I don't know why it just really resonates with me, and I just love it. But it's just such clean, crisp, wonderful action to me, and it's just such a weird. I don't know. I love weird time travel aspects of anything. It is, to me, the best action film ever made.
It's funny. One of my notes was, is there any other purpose for these canals in LA other than great car chases and car races? I mean, seriously, I don't know what LA uses them for. It's always cars in them.
No, that's true. No, they're storm drains. I mean, they're aqueducts, the whole thing. You're not meant to go in there. We'd break in there.
No, sure, yeah.
We just fucking toss the bikes over the chain link fence and go to town. I mean, I know that I fell down and ended up in some green slime once on my bike.
Nice.
But since LA is mostly in drought conditions, when does it ever fill with anything?
It doesn't really fill. There's a little central, trickle.
A little trickle, yeah. Now it's Fear the Walking Dead territory. I'm all about that.
Well, and I read that they had to actually scour these canals when they went to film there. They actually had to sandblast all the algae out of them to make it safe for all the people.
Yeah, it's gnarly, dude. Them. Yeah, they're gross.
I think one of the things I like most about this film is that it is a great sort of grindhouse crossover film. It is this well-earned R-rated film that gives you some good, straight up, clean, bloody violence. It is
I agree.
Killing Xander Berkeley with the knife through the milk carton is a legendary death. It is.
Your foster parents are dead.
The best.
That's right.
The best.
What's wrong with Wolfie? I can hear him barking.
And that Private Vasquez is in it. I mean, just forget it. But the whole thing is that Cameron, I think, hides a lot of his message, his political message that he usually sort of wears right on his sleeve in this kind of grindhouse crossover film, right? I mean, it is a message of disarmament. It's a message about, nukes are bad. It's a message about, God, I hate the military, but man, do I love their guns. It's this is the same kind of thing, the same kind of message that he uses in True Lies and Avatar and The Abyss and God, even Titanic, right?
I don't even care. James Cameron along with John Carpenter, my favorite filmmakers.
Nice.
They have a theme. Let's just say they
absolutely.
have a theme.
Yep.
And so, I think that he, this is his mission in life is to make films that address this is a quote of his: technology in and of itself is not evil, but there is a great potential for evil in the human misapplication of that technology. And that's his central purpose of filmmaking, it seems. And so, but I really like it because this is otherwise a really simple chase film, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's a straight up chase film that ends up being part of such a wonderful mythology, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites of all time. I mean, I can always go back to T2, and in any consequence, it's like, I don't know, even just the artistry of it, how it's shot, the costumes, the production design, just everything that happens is just so, I don't know. I have no words to describe how much I love this movie.
Well, I think looking at the script and how James Cameron and William Wisher Jr., who co-wrote it with him, I mean, I think they did such a great job of taking elements from the first Terminator film and finding ways to kind of repurpose it and really create these interesting parallels all through this. How in this film, Sarah kind of ends up becoming the Terminator, right?
Yeah.
And the Terminator ends up kind of becoming the Kyle Reese character. And you have such an interest, and then T-1000, of course, becomes the Terminator. It's like this interesting blend of these different characters as they shift in the film, but they all kind of have their purpose that really parallels what's going on in the first Terminator.
Jesus, it's Star Wars The Force Awakens, Andy. How did I not see that coming?
Well, but I just think that's something that James Cameron does so well. I mean, look at how he did it in Aliens, how he kind of created a parallel, similar story in there, but then he shifts it and he adds things. And like in that film, he added the Queen, which was so smart. Here you get the T-1000, which is, I mean, I just remember watching this film when it came out and just having my jaw like on the floor through the whole film, because watching this metal man when he first walks out of the fire there and then transforms back into the cop, I mean, that just blew me away. And he keeps
so
doing
awesome.
that, like when he cracks his head through the helicopter windshield and then like pours himself into the seat and creates himself. It just blew me away. I mean, it's just rock solid storytelling here.
Well, yeah, and just the fact that like you have the first Terminator, which is just, awe-inducing enough, and then you've got this second form of a Terminator that can pretty much do anything, and it's just unbelievable, especially as a child for me to watch. Like, it was like, how do you beat this? How do you beat this thing? And eventually, and they do, and it is so impressive.
It's impressive that they are able to maintain some consistency in the heart of the film too. That it's not just, if you watch it for just the effects, it is nonstop stunt work. I mean, it's nonstop action.
And I love it. Yeah.
It's fantastic, and yet it really is kind of a continuation of the story of a family story, right? Where the first movie was a fractured love story, right? It was
absolutely.
It was just this horrible, tragic story about Sarah and Kyle, and this one is a mother and son story, and it holds up in that regard too. I think it's. I really am interested in how John Connor is written as the son of a broken woman in the beginning of the film, and it makes that transition to come around as he learns the truth that she was right, that he was this crazy rebellious kid and ends up being a dutiful protective son. I thought that was a great transition, and it's one that I didn't expect to hold up as well as it did over the years.
Well, and plus he comes in as kind of a father figure, which is the other element of that. They create this really interesting family that was
crazy
broken.
Oedipal psychosis.
It's strange, but the way they come together is just it's so interesting, and I love the way that it kind of unfolds to help John become the leader he needs to.
It's true. Uncle Bob's killing it.
Have you noticed the trend, Sarah, in movie posters and films, how it's that orange and blue look that they love so much now, where you've got that great, those two colors together. It's like everybody's a Broncos fan now. And you've got these orange and blues because they work so well in posters and they catch your eyes. This film, like you get to that last act when you're in the iron plant, and all of the blues from the cold liquid nitrogen and everything mixing with all the oranges from the steel and everything, it just created that great orange and blue look through the whole last act of the film. That I'm like, is this where that started? And I don't know. I don't think I ever caught it until
it could be.
Then.
However, I would say from an art perspective, not to be a complete weirdo, but orange and blue are contrast colors like red and green and purple and yellow.
Sure.
So they're completely contrast spectrum wise.
Yeah, on that color wheel, they're exactly opposite one another.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So as far as like a visual perspective, that's going to be the most engaging, the most captivating, having those colors together.
It certainly has become popular.
It has become very popular. And then you see it so stark in like Mad Max, you know, I mean, it was just
my God, I love Mad Max.
Gorgeous,
This one starts in 2029. We see kind of a little bit of the future here, and then we jump back in time. And then of course, there's Terminator 3. There's Terminator Salvation.
Nope.
There's Terminator Genesis. And there's the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
I guess so.
So that I think answers a lot of my questions that I had for you. So it doesn't sound like you're a fan of the Terminator franchise as a whole.
The James Cameron Terminators that are the ones that exist. Yes,
those are the two that exist. So that answers.
Everything else is I don't know what happened, but it doesn't count.
Yeah, there's a lot of mess in the rest of them. Just in prep for this show, I actually watched the first one, second one, third one, and fourth one just to kind of freshen my memory of what goes on in those. I didn't make it into Genesis, but I'd seen that one fairly recently when it was in theaters.
It did not.
I'm one of those people who kind of likes T3, I gotta say, and the fact that it ends in global annihilation, I think
that was the one with the girl killer
I
robot.
I
right?
did see.
Yes.
I do remember seeing that. I did see that in the theater. I believe I only saw it once. I couldn't really tell you much of what happened with it.
It's got some bad stuff in it, but that's the one where they're going after, because John's gone off the grid. They're going after his lieutenants, and it's the woman. Robot
right,
going after the lieutenants,
who's driving like a dog ambulance truck or something.
Claire Danes worked at a vet's office, and
Claire Danes, Nick Stahl. I can tell you that I remember my issues with that movie being, there were parts that I really wanted to like. However, you will notice about the majority of Terminator 2 as well, like the major action scenes happen at night. And a lot of the major action scenes in the third one happen during the day, and it's
like the big crane chase.
Yeah, and there's just something about it visually that I kind of prefer action to happen at night as opposed to during the day, and that's really just a personal preference, and I don't know why, but I feel like it is so much better at night, especially when it's lit well. You can provide atmosphere from a special effects perspective when there are wet downs everywhere. I mean, it just gives it so much more life, and it gives life to the production design. It's hard during the day for me.
Plus those explosions look so pretty at night, like when they blow up Cyberdyne.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
That's just a fantastic explosion.
Yeah,
it really is. No, that's actually a really interesting point. So much of this was shot at night, and I really think that Adam Greenberg, who shot this film, just did a stellar job of lighting everything, just the way he captured everything. I mean, the day stuff too, but really the night stuff really stands out as just looking really solid. All the stuff they shot with the vehicle driving down the road, the helicopter stuff. I mean, just everything is really, it's just beautiful, and it really feels like night. And there's a lot of times you're watching night stuff and it just doesn't quite feel like night. It feels like they've lit it to look that way.
Yeah, well,
this one actually works. I think this is really carefully done.
Yeah, well, because it's actually, number one, filmed at night. It's filmed on film, and you have that contrast. You have those super, super crushed blacks. You have the full contrast, but at the same time you have the color. So when you have the dark pieces and you have the light pieces, but there's so many colors within that frame at the same time, and you have so many different departments working together, and it just is, and it's so beautiful, but it comes off so effortlessly, and it's fantastic. And that is such a rare thing to happen now, especially in an action film.
Real stunts, same with real effects.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that they were doing back here. And James Cameron, I think, is one of those filmmakers who really understands a lot of the tools that he has as options in front of him. He knows how to balance the right way between models and stunts and effects, like CG effects, and real like Stan Winston sort of puppetry.
Yeah.
He understands all these tools and how to blend them in a way where, I mean, I swear it's so hard for me to pinpoint the specific changes from scene to scene. He does it so masterfully.
Well, and the deal is, the guy himself is an artist, and you get there. It's funny how much flack he gets. Like, obviously, I've never worked with him. I don't know, but he gets a bad rap for like being an asshole, and I'm like, really? Because I kind of think he knows exactly what he wants to do. He's worked in almost every single department. He knows how to do everything. I have such respect for this man. and his product is impeccable.
Yeah, I mean, he really hasn't had other than like some story-wise issues that I have with some of them. I mean, I think that every film he's done is really kind of a masterclass in filmmaking.
I agree.
Maybe except for Piranha 2, but I don't know.
Well, I don't really think you can judge that one.
Yeah, right.
I think so much of the, you're talking about just the look of it and shooting at night. I mean, so much of that is born of such necessity from Terminator 1, which was, and I know you're going to talk about the numbers later, Andy, but that was such a low budget film compared to this one. And what really ends up being kind of magical about it is that this film, even at, at 50 times the budget, ends up feeling like a direct continuation of the first film. It feels like it is of a piece. It is of the same family. It feels like it was shot every bit as guerrilla style as the first one was, and even though we know it largely was not, it feels right at home in the franchise. And I think that's one of his real gifts is creating a not just a vision of the mythology, but a consistency of tone and style. I think he did a fantastic job.
It makes me sad a little bit that he did not end up continuing with the franchise. I mean, I really feel like T2 was a great ending. It's like they didn't have to continue this franchise. But if somebody did, I kind of wish it was him.
Yeah, it makes me sad a lot.
Yeah.
It's not like a little sad. It's sad a lot. It's terrible.
I
don't know if you've heard like the Christian Bale like rap song that they made, but yeah, that
with him
that's how I
going
feel.
off on set.
Yeah.
That's not good for him.
Yeah.
Not good for him.
That was a bad time.
Yeah, maybe it's not, but that is completely taken out of context. You have no idea what happened on that set.
True. Yeah.
You have no idea what happened. A friend of mine is actually mentioned in that rant who was on set with him, and Christian is completely in the right. It's like there are things that happen, and you have who is the sound person that comes out and like releases that kind of shit. Shit like that happens all the time. You can't do that. Like,
yeah, right.
That's insane. That's insane. You have no idea what led up to that moment, and it was, I am on Christian Bale's side 100%.
Well, sure. And I think anybody who's worked on a set and knows the kind of activity that goes on a set and when the camera is rolling knows that's thing. I say it's not good for him because it doesn't matter if he was in the right. Public perception was not good for him in that.
It's true. This is true. But
it's just in terms of too bad.
It is a shame, and we now live in the world of public perception of no backstory whatsoever and no context, and that is a shame.
Andy, we were talking about the script, and we were talking about the time travel stuff. Did we satisfy that to you for you?
Time travel, I think that it's such a tricky thing, and I think that James Cameron really mastered it well, going from the first film to this film. And I love the idea of they couldn't get Sarah in the first one, so now they're going after John in the second one. I think that's a fantastic way to take this time travel story. I think that it's smart filmmaking, and there's something really fun about time travel that actually I think gives the filmmakers a lot of leeway, the way that they play with it. Although it also means that there's a lot of rules that they have to enforce along the way. And I think Cameron and Wisher were pretty smart about the way that they kind of stuck with the rules that they were creating all through this. How
so? Because one of the things that I think about when I look at this film is that the rules, it felt like, were very simple in the first the first two movies, and they got progressively more complex.
Well, and maybe that's just it. I think that they had set up some fairly simple rules that they stuck with here. There were elements of the first movie that followed through into the second movie. Things from the future that got stuck in the past, like the arm and the chip. I mean, it did make me suspicious of, okay, well, weren't there cops wouldn't have cops come to the scene in the first Terminator that would also have like confiscated some of this stuff? Weren't there other elements of the robot that survived? But, for the most part, I think that they created these elements and they kind of kept with it as far as what they were doing from the first movie to the second and the timeline and how everything moved along. I think they did a good job of that. And I think what happened in the following films is that the filmmakers felt the need to complicate those rules more. And I think by creating more complex layers of the time travel and the timelines and how things were jumping around and who was jumping around and all that, I think it ended up convoluting the story to a place that it didn't need to go.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm talking about. I think the one rule that they never really set up for me in the first two movies that I never really understood is why the fixed points in time to send these Terminators back. Like, why didn't they just try again to get Sarah, after the first Terminator? Why did they have to wait until and go back when John Connor's 10 years old? That just always felt a little bit arbitrary to me. But once I looked past that, it was just a sign that the rest of the movie was so engaging that I didn't need to worry so hard about that.
Yeah, I mean, they could have gone back to the 50s and killed Sarah's parents.
Right, right. I mean, we can keep going back and make that easier. Right. Yeah, I mean, it's anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep going forever, but I think, at least for me, as soon as something gets more complicated and more convoluted, I feel like there's sort of like a graph or a matrix having to do with how convoluted something is with the quality of the story and the quality of the film. Like, the more simple the story, the more engaging the film, in my perspective,
Well, and that's one of the things that I think makes this film look so good is that, again, it's about the people that are engaged in this cockamamie time travel thing, but it's about the people, and we're allowed to fall in love with the people a little bit. I think watching Sarah's arc in this film, going from the Cassandra complex, right, in the beginning, like she's just, nobody believes her, she just comes off as a lunatic, to the vindication at the end. Linda Hamilton just dominates it. She's just fantastic. Complete badass.
I looked at my wife after watching this film and I was like, this was one of those performances in an action film that very well could have been recognized by the Academy as Best Actress performance. I mean, if they can say Sigourney Weaver was Best Actress quality in Aliens, absolutely Linda Hamilton was at that level as well.
Yeah, she brought it, and I don't know, and that's what's hard for me too. I think just personally, that's what's hard for me in any of the other Terminators when they try to bring in another Sarah Connor, and it's like, nah, nah, like no, we got it. Like if you don't bring that or best it, like I'm not interested. Because that chick is fucking badass. Like, she's so awesome.
That's really true. I don't think they've ever found another Sarah Connor as good as
no, and you can't. And I'm sure that woman exists, but she's not been placed there. It's and it's none of the other actresses' fault. It's just I don't think they're right for it.
Well, and also I don't think the script. I don't think she's been written properly in the script to carry
issue.
that.
I agree with that. Yeah. I didn't see the newest Terminator simply because after even just watching trailers and watching pieces of it, it's like, I don't want to watch a Terminator that maybe has some sort of similarities to like a Twilight or like a teen situation. Like, I don't want that. Yeah. I don't want that. I want Sarah Connor for real. Like, I want this to be real, and I want this to be gritty, and I want this to be amazing. And it was like, it's, over 20 years later, why can we not best this?
Because James Cameron's not doing it.
No shit.
That's why.
Because now he's taking all of his female characters and painting them blue.
You say that with disdain, or are you're not interested in that?
No, I'm interested in it. It's fine. It's just it's one of those things. I feel like his.
I think he's saying that because he's choosing to not do anything else except Avatar now.
I mean, right, that's it.
4 Avatar sequels, which is great, but
it makes me resent Avatar a little bit after seeing this one again.
Because he has a new girlfriend called Avatar, and it's not you.
Yeah,
right, a little bit. I feel that. No, I get you. I'm with you on that, but I still want the Avatar. So.
The thing is, when I walked out of this movie, I saw this with a girlfriend at the time, and I walked out of this movie, and the words I could not say were, I'm going to marry Linda Hamilton. I wanted to say those words so out loud, but that was like, I was standing with this other girl, and she was delightful and fine. I didn't marry her. Aspirational marriage characters. That's what I want in this movie.
I guess so. I don't know that I feel. I mean, aside from The Abyss, in which Ed Harris is the most amazing man on the planet, but
yes, he is. I'd marry him.
I would marry the shit out of Ed Harris in The Abyss. Give me that.
You feel it? You're with me on this.
Yeah. It was a one-way trip.
It was a one-way trip.
Oh God, one-way ticket, baby.
Oh my God, where were
please.
we?
That's great.
Andy, find the rails.
So let's jump into more of the cast. Since we're talking about Linda and how awesome Linda is, I have to say one thing with her that I will, for some reason, it's stuck in my head. I'll never be able to divorce it when I watch this film now. She buffed up so much in this film, and now every time I see her, all I can think about is there was a Saturday Night Live sketch that they had her on when she hosted at the time that this came out, and she's with this other. There's another woman, and they're talking or something, or at the grocery store, and this other woman is just getting so bitter and jealous about how great it is that Hollywood pays you to buff up like this, and this is like this little housewife who's jealous, and it was a fairly funny sketch. But
I may be ashamed of myself for never seeing this right now.
I don't think Linda was a Saturday Night Live regular, but it was a pretty funny little sketch that she did. So
well, she's awesome, so I'm sure. Yeah. Check that out. Oh my God.
We'll see. We'll have to see if we can find it, and then we can put it in the show notes for this show too.
What about Arnie?
Let's talk about a little bit of a Schwarzenegger.
Can I get a judge's ruling on leather pants? Like, if you were costuming this now, would you go with the leather pants?
Are you fucking kidding me? It's Arnold Schwarzenegger. You put leather pants on that. Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to know.
Are you serious? He's a biker. You put him in leathers. That's real. That's a real thing.
No, I get it. I'm just,
Do you get it? I don't know if you get it.
I don't ride a bike. What can I say? I don't ride a bike.
Well, obviously, then you're coming from a place of, you don't understand.
I'm more of a tracksuit guy. I'm more of a Russian mobster.
Brother. Okay, can we talk about when he goes into that fucking bar? He goes into that bar and Dwight Yoakam is playing Guitars, Cadillacs. Yeah. Yes. I also
own... Your shoes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
Yes. I also maybe have that entire album of Dwight Yoakam's that's acoustic. So he plays the acoustic of that. So, anyway, I fucking love that song simply because of this movie. But I will have you notice on a special effects side, when he goes into the kitchen and he says, I need your shoes, your boots, your motorcycle, the whole thing. And the guy goes on to like the fryer. You can see him go on to the fryer. Yeah. You see like the smoke shooters on the side. Right. It always I remember that always driving me nuts ever since being a little kid.
That's the one thing that I've always noticed as well. I always see that it always looks fake.
But I think, growing up the way that I did with, the blood and the smoke and the fire and the explosions, I was like, stop it. If a glass breaks early, I get so pissed.
Yeah, you start noticing those things. You're around those people and you notice those things, and it takes some of that magic.
I guess. If you're grew up in it.
So that's an interesting scene, though, because they purposefully chose to not have Arnold kill anybody in the film because they didn't want to have him start killing people and then change because of John. They thought, well, he's already killed these people. So if you notice, he never actually kills any of those people in the bar. He only sticks a knife through a guy's shoulder, throws a guy.
He just handsomely maims them.
He does, and he does it. You're right. It's very handsomely that he does it. Yes. But it's great. But there's also some comedic elements in his intro here that we didn't get in the first one. And I was kind of like looking at it now. I'm like, it's almost like they're giving us little hints that he might be good this time, as if the trailers hadn't already ruined that for us by the time the movie came out. There's a line at the end of one of them where John is just like, it's that line where he's just like, you got to promise not to kill anybody. I promise I will not kill anybody. And so that they're already together, working together. So it kind of took some of the mystery away.
I will luckily say that I missed that part.
Yes, lucky for you. Well, you're 8. Those things might not stick as much. But they do have some comedic stuff, like the moment when the guy comes out with his shotgun, is like, I can't let you take that guy's bike, and he comes up and he grabs the shotgun away from him, and then he reaches up real quick and he pulls out the sunglasses, puts them on, and Bad to the Bone kicks in. It's like, there's a little bit of lightness with this guy, and he was so intimidating in the first one. So I think they did a good job of kind of hinting that for us.
But this is what I miss about action films in general, and this is such a terrific action film, and it's so wonderfully done. However, you're right, there are comedic elements about it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of the action films and like everybody kind of just sways to one side. It's like it's either all comedy or it's all drama or it's all action. I really miss having that mix, and I feel like that's why sort of the Fast series has done so well, because they are action, but they have comedic elements with them as well, and there are few action films that really, I don't know, just commit to different types of like drama and comedy at the same time.
Well, and there was a real risk here of turning a guy like Arnold Schwarzenegger into a clown in this movie. I mean, that could have really gone south, making him the puppet of John Connor. They ride that line so well in that sequence as he's teaching him, the smile,
right?
And
which is super weird,
don't be goofy, which is really weird. And yet Schwarzenegger doesn't come off like a clown. He comes off like a robot that's trying to learn something and doing it kind of badly. But it's short, it's funny, we move on and get back to the action. I thought that was great.
They also balance the, just like the Fast and Furious franchise, like you said, all of these ones that work so well, they also have some good emotion in them.
Yes.
They balance that nicely with the action.
Absolutely.
And they take a break for those moments. And the Fast franchise definitely had those, and they worked really well as they kind of created this family. Here, it's the same thing. And yes, sometimes Cameron rides that line of some maudlin emotion, but I think he does it so well with making everything so big that I think that's why his movies become just such big blockbusters, because people really, it's so easy to go all in with his films.
Well, and I feel like it resonates with people too, because it's like within any given day of anyone's life, you have like there are hard things that happen, and then there are funny things that happen 5 minutes later. Like this is how it works. And so when you have films that address that, it really engages an audience. And I feel like that's why James Cameron has done so well, because he really knows people.
And it's a great contrast, provides a great contrast to Michael Bay, who goes all in on the action with zero heart.
Oh man, I will say that I do love Michael Bay, but for other reasons. Like if I want to have 8,000 drinks and watch Armageddon and be like, I'm having the time of my life, yeah. But I'm not going to say it's the best action movie ever. But is it fun? Man, is it quotable? But is it good? Fuck no.
It fills a very different place.
Very different place.
Oh man.
Robert Patrick is a T-1000.
Yes. All of it.
I had seen Die Hard 2. I know he was in Die Hard 2 before this, but he was not one of those people that I pulled from it. So for me, this was really kind of my introduction to the Robert Patrick as the T-1000.
Me too.
And man, does this guy know how to play just an evil, malicious robot. And he runs with his mouth closed. Like everything he does, I'm like, this guy played it to a T. He was so good.
He's just perfection in this film. It's insane. It is just crazy. Have you seen this boy? Oh my God.
His portrayal of this, again, was so fraught with risk. To put this little guy up against Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's what I was just going to say. I was just going to mention about the size of his frame, his sort of slight, but he has like a perfect posture, the frame of his face, everything. Like
his
completely
gait,
different.
his structure, yet his strength, and make him terrifying and unstoppable.
Yes.
A character that Arnold Schwarzenegger in this movie is believably afraid of or apprehensive about, right? Like
yes.
He's the guy. He says, we need to keep moving. I've done this with the ice truck thing, but we're going to need to go that way now, right? That was a believable relationship between these two characters. I thought that was it was mind-blowing. Then you throw in the earth-shattering at the time, even today, special effects of the liquid metal, and it was just there was nothing else I wanted to see.
Oh, it's so fucking good. And I even just remember like the action figures where they had like, when I was a kid, they had like the action figures of him spread apart and his sort of like weird metal bullet holes and everything. It was so good.
You could get him in all the different stages.
all the different stages of it. Yeah, it was so terrific.
It was great.
It was such a popular guy that he came back as the same cop in Wayne's World, which I thought was quite funny.
Wayne's World, the first Wayne's World?
Yeah, he comes up as he's a cop that pulls them over.
Oh,
or
that's
something.
so funny. I have not
was
seen
it
that
a
for a
say
long time,
that's a
but I
nice
remember
bike
that.
moment?
Yeah.
I actually don't remember.
It was probably.
Oh
I
my God,
can't remember.
that's so
I know
funny.
he was in it, which is so funny.
I just started, which is embarrassing. I just started watching The Sopranos like 2 days ago. I've never seen it. Don't say anything.
I haven't either.
Okay, well,
I'm in the same boat.
That's
okay.
timely.
Well, like 15 years late, it's fine.
Right.
But he comes up in like the second season, so he's one of the characters in the second season, and all I can think is just sitting there with like just Twitter pated with little like sparkly eyes, being like, "Oh my God, T-1000, what are you doing here?"
He's a busy guy too. I mean, he's one of those guys who's just popping up all over the place. He's been on Scorpion.
Well, I mean, the man is
since it started.
He is completely engaging. And he's a fantastic actor. It's very few and far between.
Now, what'd you think of Edward Furlong? This is his first performance. I mean, they found him
off the street,
like in a YMCA. They decided to cast him for this.
In the Valley, probably.
He's a screamer.
Oh yeah, he's a screamer. His sort of like puberty pitch scream is the best. No, he's terrific. He's fantastic. I can't speak for his work after this, but he is terrific for this role.
He went through puberty over the course of making this film, and there's one scene where you can still hear his prepubescent voice. It's the scene where it's in the special edition where he and the Terminator are talking about they're like at the camp, like going through weapons or something, and they're having kind of a quiet conversation. Can't remember exactly what it's about, but that's the one moment where you can kind of hear his prepubescent voice. But they actually had to go back, and after toward the end of the film, they had to have him loop all the rest of his lines that he had done before his voice cracked, so that he sounded the same through the film.
So you never did you follow up with American History X?
I did watch American History X. I remember liking it. I'm just not a huge fan of Edward Norton, I will say.
That was just a tough movie to watch. And it was one where, kind of the other big Edward Furlong.
It's incredibly tough. He's incredible in it. Edward Furlong's actually incredible in it too. Not Edward Furlong.
Norton.
Edward Norton.
Edward Norton. He is, he's terrific in it. Yeah, it's a tough movie. It's definitely a tough movie. He
has also been busy with 60 credits since this film. He's still actively working, not a whole lot, but actively working, and he's it's just such a funny story seeing where he came from as the young John.
Well, and it's hard to be in a position of starring in a movie, so being like a first movie and being so young and being so incredibly popular, and then and especially at that age, and then where do you go from there? It's that's got to be, and I don't imagine to know how that is, but that's got to be hard for anybody. So I'm happy that he continues to work and that he's doing good work. So
it is always tricky. Anytime a kid makes it through the Hollywood system, I'm always impressed. I'm happy that they've done it, because it definitely has a habit of chewing them up and spitting them out.
Yeah, it's tough. It is very tough, and and especially just in from my perspective as a costume designer and having met a handful of actors who were once like child stars, it's a completely different ballgame in your dealings with them. It really depends. And some of them are awesome, and some of them haven't quite grasped the world.
Earl Bowen plays Dr. Silverman.
Yeah, he was in the first movie, and he had a little bit in the third movie too. So he's for our supporting characters, he's one of the only ones who's kind of actually made it through a number of these films.
He's pretty awesome. I remember I went with my brothers. This was maybe a little over a year ago. There was a screening at the Egyptian Theater of Terminator, the first Terminator, and Arnold was meant to be there. I think Arnold was supposed to be there. He ended up getting sick, so it was the moderator and James Cameron. So we watched the first Terminator, and it was just James Cameron speaking about it. We were a couple rows back, and it was like, this is the most awesome thing ever. Watching the movie and having him talk about the whole deal. But yeah, it was it's pretty incredible. And yeah, he's notable in the first film for sure. So it's really funny to see him again in the second one, and just to not believe what she's saying is pretty interesting.
Oh, he's just terrible.
Oh yeah,
he's just terrible.
Yeah.
He's so dismissive.
Oh,
it's just so funny because it's like he was there.
He was there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's that. It's like, okay, all right, really classic. Doctors.
But he certainly gets a little bit of his comeuppance in this one. So
he is also busy. I mean, 256 credits, a lot in the last several years of video game voice work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's all over World of Warcraft. Huh. And Tales of Monkey Island, the reboot of the Monkey Island series, and so he's done some cartoon work too, a lot of voice work in cartoons.
That I did not know, but he has a terrific voice, so I would expect nothing less.
Very distinctive.
Now, how was it seeing Michael Biehn back in this as Kyle Reese? Did you like those the dream scenes that had been cut for the theatrical release, or are you one of the people who feels they should have stayed on the cutting room floor?
I don't know. It's I kind of feel like they should stick with the original. I don't know that it really adds anything to to the film.
Yeah, it's one of those things for me where, I mean, I really like seeing Kyle again because I just thought his character was great. His relationship with Sarah was great. I feel like it works both ways. Like, I think you could almost have it both ways. The dreams are fine.
I think you could.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about having the dream is you get the, him kind of saying that line again, the, no fate but what we make, that whole thing. So that kind of gets introduced a little bit before we see her carving it into the table later. But yeah, I don't know if we need it. Then again, I think there's just a nice kind of comparison of her being kind of the crazy one and Kyle being the crazy one in the first one. I don't know. I'm torn as to how I feel about them. But I guess I'm fine with it.
Honestly, I will say I feel like it kind of takes you out of it. I don't think it's necessary. I feel like it pulls you out and it pulls you into a direction that you don't necessarily need to be in, and it takes you away from sort of the simple story that you're meant to follow.
I can see why they put it in there. I think for me, the problem is it reminds me of a weaker Sarah that I already don't want anymore.
I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a problem for her character specifically. I could watch Michael Biehn all day long. I think that dude is incredibly charismatic on screen.
Give me that.
and so he's super cool. I like that Kyle Reese is back just in principle, but I do have a problem with what they do with her character. I think it's damaging to her character.
No, I do too. I feel like she's progressed. I feel like we've committed to the fact that she's progressed and she's a different person now, and to include those really kind of detracts from what she is, and not in a good way. I think it's disparaging, honestly.
So what? So I mean, we've all seen both versions clearly, the original cut and then the special edition.
No,
cut.
I'm just talking shit. I don't know what you guys are trying to.
I don't know what you were talking about, really. Special edition? What's that? Are there any scenes in the special edition that you like and feel are welcome additions to the film? Because it's not called a director's cut. James Cameron doesn't call it a director's cut. He still feels that the original one is the cut that he still prefers. Although he says there's one specific scene that he does miss.
There is one scene that I love. I'm not sure what the scene is, but I will say that there's one scene that I love, which is the scene with Arnold in the mirror when they're in the garage where they're pulling the bullets out of him. That is my favorite. That is the one scene that I'm sad about.
And that's where they pull the chip out of his head to switch the things to program him. And Sarah comes close to smashing the chip, and John stops her, showing that he's kind of that future leader.
Right.
That is the scene that James Cameron also wishes that was back in the cut. He really likes that, and he cut that for length. But other than that, he says he would be fine leaving the rest of it out.
I'm with James Cameron.
Yeah, me too. The funny thing is, like, that's the only scene that I can remember. You know what I mean? That's the only scene that I can remember that it's like, God, that scene is fucking dope.
Weren't there some more detailed scenes around the nuclear explosion or was that in the original? The flaying of the skin and that was all in the original too. That's the one I feel like really, does a disservice to the story and to Arnold's arc. I think you lose a lot of Arnold in the original because you don't know about that whole chip thing and about the learning robot. You get the
one line that they wrote that one line in the original cut where it's just like, the more I'm around humans, the more I can start adapting and acting like them. Yeah. I can't remember exactly because I haven't watched the original cut in quite a while, but they wrote a specific line and they had Arnold say it. And that line kind of was what they used as an excuse to kind of show how he started learning. But once you've seen this scene, that just becomes just like a bogus attempt at trying to make it make sense, and it just doesn't work. That scene, I think, this scene is, I think, such a critical moment, and I'm fine watching everything else in the special edition just so I can watch that one scene, because I agree with you. That scene is just it's a perfect scene that should.
No, that's the one, and it should be in the movie. If I were to say anything from that, like, that should be in the movie, because that after I saw I remember that really affecting me when I did finally see the special edition. I was like, what the fuck? Why is this not? This is amazing. Somebody
else who lost a little bit of screen time in the original cut was Miles Dyson. There was more of him. Joe Morton plays Miles Dyson, and man, he's another character that
he's
I
awesome.
Really love in this film. I love that he was written as kind of this Family Guy scientist. He's not like this mad scientist who's like, I'm inventing the destruction of mankind.
Well, no, he's just it's like
scientist.
It's again like not to be the dick who compares, like, Fast Five to Terminator 2, but it's like, it's just another asshole's name that came across my desk. It's like, this is just the shit. Like, this just came into me. This is awesome. This would just, here's some technology that fell in our lap and we're going to do something with it. Like, he doesn't know.
That's exactly it. It's the chaos theory of the film. It's, you never know what actions you're going to take that are going to change the course of the world.
Absolutely.
I think that he is that pivotal character.
And he takes the change well, and I love his final moment when he's got that his hands on the bomb to blow everything up, and he kind of just has that little nod to Sarah, like, I know what I have to do. It's just like, that was such a great moment. You didn't have to go into anything long. It's just a nice, simple moment, and you get a really interesting arc created for Miles Dyson. And it's just like, that is exactly what we miss out of so many other actions.
But this harkens back to the point of just simplicity. It is just the more simple, because the more simple the story is, the more you get from your actors, the more you get from everything in the film, the more you can really see when something is simple. When you start to add like 18 different storylines, everything's convoluted, like, people tap out. Like, give it one simple core story. And how come this has not been surpassed in the past 25 years? Because it's simple and it's fucking dope.
I'll take the second one first.
It is fucking dope, guys.
It is dope. Yes.
I present the T2 challenge. Bring me something that's better.
You're certainly not going to get a better final breath out than you do out of Joe Morton when he's dying.
It's true. Yeah.
That stuck with me for years. I was like, if I go, I'm going like Joe Morton. I'm taking every bit of air that I can get.
Well, that and, there's one chip left.
There's one chip left. Yeah,
That's right.
And where is that other hand? Oh, Joe.
There's one chip left, and we've got Jason Trost crying to death.
He's crying to death.
Poor little 4-year-old Jason Trost has to be carried out of the theater. Terminator's dead.
Such a great moment, the little thumb, though. I mean, I gotta say.
What I really wish is that action films now would have a sense of humor. And there are some that do, but like have a very clear, concise story, but have a sense of humor. Like fucking Romancing the Stone, any of these things. It's like, it's crazy. It's a romantic comedy. It's whatever, but like action comedy. Where is action comedy?
Yeah, they've taken a very dark turn.
Yeah,
in action.
It's very sad.
It's a very gritty. Yeah, even superhero films, they get very dark and gritty and
worse. Same,
not so pleasant.
Well, but it's just the same story over and over and over again, and also like. You need those comedic moments, those real life moments, in order to kind of lift you out of what has just happened, and to keep your audience with you. And it's so weird to me, the shift that's happened in the last, 10, 15 years or so, because movies were never like this before.
There's some good twin work in this film.
Yes.
A couple of good twins.
Yes.
Linda Hamilton's sister, her twin sister, is in it as playing her, Leslie. And we get Dawn and Dan Stanton as the guard.
That's true.
The T-1000. I love that they pull the old twin gag with us to make some of this work in a much cheaper way.
I got a full house. It must be my lucky day.
Although if you look at the cards on the cup, he's wrong. It's not a full house.
Well, it's still his lucky day.
He needs to learn his poker.
They were terrific. Dean Norris, it was good to see him as the SWAT team leader.
Right.
Now that what a great character actor. Breaking Bad is so good for him. Anybody else in the cast? Jeanette Goldstein, Private Vasquez. She is one of the greatest chameleon character actors out there.
She's so killer.
Janelle.
I love her.
She is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, she's terrific.
And of course, Xander Berkeley as Todd, foster father. Who is also crazy busy right now. 227 credits.
He's always busy.
Dude,
you guys, I love you guys with like your names and your credit counts. It's
how we keep score. It's how you keep score. What are you going to do?
That's right. I love seeing Danny Cooksey pop up, and maybe that's just because I loved seeing him on Different Strokes as a kid and seeing him as John's buddy on the bike. I just love that.
Oh man,
yeah, he was good.
So fun. That mullet is insane.
Yeah,
that is that's like top 5 all time mullets. Like just bright red ginger natural.
It grows that way.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It actually grows short in the front and long in the back.
No, just the carrot.
Awesome.
Just the carrot. Poor little guy.
Carrot top mullet.
It's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about getting it made. Andy, how did this had some trouble?
This was Yeah, this was a tough film to get made, surprisingly. But, I guess that kind of stems from when a film gets started kind of in an independent way. I mean, the first film, it had, it was a small film, $6.4 million budget. I mean, it's still pretty fair. But it was Orion Pictures, and of course, Orion kind of, ended up stumbling. And I think somehow Hemdale Film Group, Hemdale ended up with the rights to the franchise. And then Carol Co. was trying to get the rights, and Mario Kassar from Carol Co. Arnold had a conversation with Mario, and Arnold said, you just got to buy it. You just got to bid on it and buy it and just get it done with. And it took a while, but I guess Mario ended up having to pay $5 million for the franchise rights. I don't know how that fares anymore. I don't know, since Carol Co.'s not around, I don't know if Mario then had to sell it, because I don't know who's been releasing it.
Carol Co. I will say Carol Co.'s trying to come back.
Are they really? Well, wasn't I think it was T3 was released as C2 Pictures, which was kind of I think it was part of a Carol Co. comeback.
All I know is from seeing James Cameron speak about the first one is how much of a motherfucker the first one was to get made. Like how impossible the first one was to get made. And so for whatever trials and tribulations the second one had, it probably does not hold a candle to the first.
A small budget, huge sci-fi story, something like that. I can imagine is kind of tricky to kind of get people sold on.
Yeah.
But this one, once they got through these legal disputes, they started getting going with it. I think they ended up starting production in October 1990, and they shot for 186 days is what I read, which seems like a pretty hefty production schedule.
That's
intense.
And
at the time, this ended up being the most expensive film made. This was the first film to go over the $100 million mark. It cost $102 million to make this film. And that was a huge story, because people were like, what? $100 million to make a movie?
Worth every goddamn penny.
They brought Adam Greenberg back to shoot it. We already talked about him. He shot the first one as well. How are the costumes? As somebody from the costume world, what do you think of the costumes in this film?
Costumes are fucking terrific. I love everything about it. I believe, I'm going to check my little references right this second. I believe it was Marlene Stewart, but then I don't want to be the person.
It was.
Okay. She was busy this year too, in 91.
She's busy all the time. She's busy now. I mean, Marlene is doing the new Fast movie right now, Fast 8.
Wow. Is she?
Today, so the chick's busy.
Well, she did The Doors, JFK, and this. They were all released in 91. So yeah, she had a pretty busy stretch of time right around
She's pretty busy most of the time. Yeah.
Wow.
They're fucking terrific. And, you got these people talking about how, what are you talking about, leather pants? And the leather pants are in there and they're perfect.
These people.
So,
These people is me.
These people.
I'm a these people.
What would you suggest? What would you replace it with?
I am not a costume professional.
Well, yeah, but you're a patron, you're a viewer, you're an audience member.
I wear sweatpants all day.
But you're not the Terminator. Would you expect the Terminator to not wear leather pants?
I expect him to be flexible. Imagine if he had landed not by a biker bar, but next to an LA Fitness.
I will say that leather can be incredibly malleable, by the way.
See, I would not have known that.
Yes, it can be incredibly flexible.
That's delightful.
Because it is, you're just wearing another piece of skin. So yes, it will move.
And now now it's gross.
I won't bring up the Silence of the Lambs quotes, but you can imagine.
Because you know what happens. It gets the hose again.
Well, wasn't it? It was Mad Max where Fury Road, where the costume designer, she's like an animal rights activist, isn't she? And she did all non-leather in that film. Is that right?
That's the first I've heard of that, but that's really impressive if she did that. That's awesome.
Well, maybe I'm just thinking because I know she wore a leather jacket to the Oscars when she won, but it was a non-leather outfit that she was wearing. It was like that pseudo animal safe leather. And so then I thought I heard that she had done the same thing on the film. But
well,
maybe
what I will say is that leather is leather. Leather is made from an animal hide or a skin of some sort. If it's not leather, it is a different fabric, such as a vinyl or a PVC or something else.
Yeah, it's something that was made to look like leather, though. I don't know what they call that, but
they call it vinyl or PVC. I think we just learned something else.
I think we did. Let's talk about. Let's get away from my embarrassing lack of knowledge about leather. Let's talk about Stan Winston and the stuff that this Magic Man does. I mean, the Arnie the puppet that they have for him when he's like getting his face blown off and all of his skin is flapping everywhere?
I didn't see that part.
When he's walking out.
I don't know what
of
you're talking about.
For you, it only exists as Arnold. I understand.
I don't even know what jig is up here.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to
dude,
believe that it was ever anyone but Arnold.
No, it's awesome. Are you kidding me? It's incredible. When they go to fucking Dyson's house and he like slices his hand and pulls back the whole arm and you see the robot arm and then they have to be like, now let's talk, motherfucker? Yes. Okay, perfect.
Well, I love the way they set that up too. It's because, go ahead, show him, hands him the knife.
Yeah.
Because they know, okay, what you're going to do right now is you're going to guarantee a lifetime of therapy for a whole family. You're going to destroy them psychologically by peeling off the skin of your arm. Go ahead and show them that. That's okay.
We're not worried about that.
Movie. I love that.
But that's out the window. It's like we're talking about Judgment Day. Like Judgment Day surpasses it, like usurps any sort of emotion. So like Judgment Day.
But by stopping Judgment Day, that family will now go through therapy for the rest of their lives.
That's fine, but they've not been nuked within an inch of their life on August 29th, so they're fine.
So you're welcome. Have you ever been to a Judgment Day party?
I didn't.
Or have you thrown one, I should ask. Have you ever thrown do you throw a regular, and why haven't we been invited?
Okay.
On August 29th?
Well,
yeah. Haven't you been to a Judgment Day party?
Well, I have. It's called my older brother's birthday. My brother Brandon Trost, his birthday is August 29th, so we live in the land of judgment.
That's so cool. Oh, I want to legally change my birthday.
Yeah, and then my mom's birthday, which is funny because it just happened last year, is Back to the Future. When they go to the future, October 21st, 2015, that is my mother's birthday.
You guys are so in the right industry.
And all I get is a tsunami. No big deal. Great.
Oh. Well, I'm sure you can make a movie about that one day.
They already did. It's called The Impossible, and it's beautiful.
Oh, that's right. It was. Oh, yes, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
Too. It was a tough one.
What were we talking about?
I don't know, movies.
We were talking about Stan Winston.
So here's the thing about Stan Winston. I think one of the things that is so beautiful about this film is that it is not that the handoff between practical and visual effects is really good. Between CGI and practical, I didn't get a feeling. There were a couple of times where I got this feeling that there was. I'm definitely aware of the mannequin head. I'm aware of the robot head is not Arnold. You know, when he's getting his head smashed by the thing. That's, you know, I was aware, but it didn't. It never took me out of the film.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. There are a couple moments. But it'll never take you out. Like, again, like you just said, I will reiterate what you just said. You will be aware of it, but it doesn't take you out in the same way that, like, let's say any superhero movie, any other action movie does now, where it just looks like a cartoon. Like in that era, visual effects were meant as a supplement. You know, so you did everything practically. Anything you could not do practically or you couldn't complete practically, you supplemented with visual effects, and that's why it's so brilliant. I really don't understand where we're at now, because people do respond so much differently as an audience to practical elements, you know, whether it's like, even if it's a model, you still know that it's a model. There's something for me, I would much rather see a model or a painting that's very well done as opposed to something that's completely computer generated.
Another great Stan Winston moment, and we've talked about the scene already. It's where they remove the chip from the Terminator's head. And they have that fake mirror. They set that up so well with real trickery, having that fake mirror and the twin of Linda in the back and Arnold in the back and Edward in the front and Edward's lookalike in the back. And then they have the Arnold model with the hole in his head right in front of you. And so as you come down and you look at the hole and you see them pulling this whole thing out, you're like, they just pulled this thing out of Arnold Schwarzenegger's head. I mean, it's so flawless the way they do it. And all of the magic of cinema and the way they pull this whole trick on you and the magic of what Stan Winston's created with this head and how they're pulling this whole tube out of the head to get to this chip. I mean, it's just, I mean, it really is movie magic. It's truly fantastic to look at.
And it's still, what is this over? This is like 25 years ago.
Yeah,
it's smart filmmakers.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, like I said earlier, smart filmmakers who know how to use the tools in the right way to enhance the story, or like you said, to supplement the story.
However, what I will say, which is a little bit depressing, is if this were released, something of the same ilk were released today, would people appreciate it?
Well, I think it was, and they didn't. Terminator Genesis was released, and they didn't appreciate it.
I said of the same ilk.
Oh, right. I forgot
using the same effect.
You're right. You're right.
Well, along the lines of the of Stan Winston, there's also some amazing stunt work in this. Pete, you wrote a note about Pete Kent.
Yeah, I was just, when I saw the stunt, right? It's the stunt where the Arnold jumps out of the little crazy truck and runs up on the semi that's chasing them and fires the machine gun, holding on to the roof rack of the semi right into the T-1000's face. And I thought that's pretty cool. I'm sure that was some sort of composite miniature or something. And then I saw the making of, and there is Peter Kent, no wires, no trusses, no swing arms, nothing, jumps out of that truck, runs up onto the thing, holding on, firing. That is just one of those stellar, fantastically dangerous pieces of stunt work that I think is just absolutely worth shouting out.
The only thing for me to rival this was when The Dark Knight came out. So when The Dark Knight came out and they had so many stunts that were actually real stunts, and it warmed my little T2 heart. And when they flip, they do an ass over end of a full fucking semi trailer going over the top. I was like, oh, the little special effects girl in me just lost it. I was like, this is fucking incredible. And they did that. This is practical. You can see it, and they did it. And
apart from wire removal, all the practical stuff, I think we mentioned the stunt bike off the canal bridge, it's just
that's
terrific.
Like my favorite stunt of all time, I think.
Well, and let's not forget the helicopter actually flying
under the bridge.
No shit, it's so good.
Those are some seriously talented pilots.
Man.
I mean, it's just amazing. It's like a pair of brothers or something that they would do these helicopter things. One would film with the filming copter, and the other would do the stunt.
That's crazy.
Both of them. It's just nuts.
Amazing.
What they did.
It's
in that sequence, the T-1000 has extra arms. In the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the T-1000 has the extra arms. So for 26 years, 5 years, I have believed that was an error, and it only just occurred to me this viewing that in fact he's made of liquid metal and could in fact manifest extra arms.
Knives and stabbing weapons.
Yeah, I know. But is that ridiculous? Like, I watched that and I was so proud of myself when I was like 19. I was like, oh, you could see the extra arm down there as he's reloading his gun. I'm like, what a dope. Who was that kid who saw that? So I saw it again this time. I was like, oh, there's that third arm because, liquid metal. Right. I'm an idiot. Don't let that kid out with people. One of our very favorite sites, and Andy, I owe you an apology. I got too excited and I went ahead and went to this particular website. Our very favorite websites is the Internet Movie Firearms Database. Are you familiar with this?
No, but I should be, apparently.
You should. Yeah, you really should. So
it's a really fun movie site to look at.
Oh, man.
It's a great little rat hole. It turns out there are 32 different firearm families used in this film. There is some wonderful behind-the-scenes footage, I think, on the DVD or the special edition of them actually showing all the cast doing the training, and a great line as Cameron is shooting the minigun. Arnold's gonna love this, as that's the gun he shoots outside of out of the side of the building. There is a great selection of guns. This is obviously the M134 handheld minigun. This is the very same gun, the very same prop used in T2 from Predator, which is also awesome. And not only that, the future guns that are used in the opening 2029 sequence are Ruger AC-556s fitted into muzzle-light bullpup stocks.
Okay, that's pretty awesome.
Same props used in the original Total Recall.
I was about to say, yeah, because Total Recall was also on the top of my list to talk about. So
yeah, there it is. Andy, were there any guns that you got excited about? Because I feel like I owe you a platform because I was too excited.
It was the minigun that he uses, which I think is just fantastic. Because typically that's not one you handhold. I don't think many people are capable of probably hand holding one of those and shooting it. But with that one, I think they were saying something like that thing shoots. Is it like 6,000 rounds a minute.
It's something insane. They had to slow it down so that
so they could see the muzzle flashes because it was so fast.
So that the muzzle wouldn't melt.
Yeah, it's insane how fast this thing is.
Yeah, you have to give it breaks.
That is the magic of human engineering. Like this is that might as well be a lightsaber. It shoots so fast.
Jesus.
Like, that's brilliant.
And it's the only gun that could actually make the Terminator smile, which I think is just a great little moment. That's definitely you.
Well, he's been practicing.
Just a quick aside, we were talking about other movie nods that this movie has. We should mention that the gas station that they stop at is I think it was at Benthic Petroleum from The Abyss.
From The Abyss, yeah.
It's a nod to the company from The Abyss.
Oh, that I didn't know.
And the chemical that they use to blow up Cyberdyne is the chemical that everybody's injecting in Outland, Pete, that from the film that... the Connery film, the Sean Connery film.
Holy shit!
It's the same chemical from his buddy, because James Cameron's buddies with I'm blanking on the filmmaker now who did Outland, but
that is mind blowing. Andy,
you threw that little nod in there. Isn't that great?
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
What I love is that you can love something so much and still learn about it.
Yeah, I was actually worried going into this film because I thought, well, don't we already really know all about this? This is Peter Hyams.
Peter Hyams, yes.
But that just blew my mind.
Fun little
That's
nod.
Awesome.
Wow, that is crazy.
How do you guys like the music? Brad Feidel's score. He came back as the composer for this after doing it for the first film.
The music is fucking impeccable.
You know, the nice thing about
Perfect.
the music is in a film that is about a metal, or just like these metal Terminators that come in and destroy you, having this like electronic score that is just like it's like propulsive. It's got pounding stuff in it. I mean, it really fits perfectly for this film and for this pair of films, really.
You know that to this day, when I knock on a door, I go when I knock on somebody's door. So
that's
I
awesome.
will say the importance of a motherfucking theme song. Like, what happened to that, by the way? Can we talk about what the fuck happened to a theme song like, it can be a comedy, it could be like a Harry Potter, it could be anything. What happened to a theme song? Discuss.
Yeah, we're losing
it. Got subverted by the score, by the mood.
Bullshit. Where is the theme song? Theme songs, you can't, but
I'm not saying I agree.
Yeah, but it's like, you can't. I can hum Terminator 2 in a second. I can hum Jurassic Park. You can pick up like Cutthroat Island, any of that. Like there is a distinctive theme. What I really miss is having an actual theme song in films.
I think that a perfect example is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't think I could hum a single theme from any of those
because they
films.
don't have one.
I don't think that. No, they're very weak, and I just don't know. I don't know what's happening to them. I don't know why. I mean, they should have big themes, and they just don't.
They should have big orchestrated themes. They should be, honestly, they should have that. And usually they were all done with some kind of horns or some kind of like something just fucking awesome, like Conan, awesome, Basil Poldoris, awesome. Where is it? Where the fuck is it?
Yeah, where did it stop too? Because I mean, even
pinpoint. I would like to pinpoint. Which, if I had my brother here, I'm sure he would tell me exactly the moment when it died. But we talk about this a lot. But like, where did it stop? And I feel like it was after maybe the second or third Harry Potter installment when he had a theme song, and then it went. And when do you have those themes?
I will say they are out there still, but they're not in the films that we want them to be in. I mean, I think that you look at something like How to Train Your Dragon, and I mean, the themes in that film, I think, are actually really strong.
This is a sore point because I've not seen either of them, and I know I need to, and I'm embarrassed.
Oh, well, I definitely check it out. And the music in How to Train Your Dragon, I mean, I was blown away by the scores for those two films. So yeah. So that's the thing, is I think they're out there, but these are the like the Marvel movies, like those are the ones we want them in, and they're just not appearing in them for some weird reason.
Yes, however, I will say that your reference, like How to Train a Dragon, which is terrific, but that is pretty. I mean, they're dependent on a theme song that is it's an animated feature. They are meant to have theme songs, and
well, yeah, because they're so dependent on like character themes.
Yes, so that is what they are meant to have, and it's terrific that they do, thankfully. But yeah, and maybe that's why I have sort of an aversion to the newest superhero franchises, because like I can't identify with any of them. It's like I can't discern anything. No, I can't.
There's no
no, exactly. No, seriously. Like if there were a Tony Stark motherfucking theme song where it's like, here's Tony Stark's theme song. Here's
They totally crapped out on Tony Stark's theme song because they went with "I am Iron Man."
But that's not. You know what I mean? It's like
I do know what you mean.
Where is that sort of impressive orchestrated theme song that's like 8 notes that tells me exactly who this is, like which existed from the dawn of cinema until the last 5 years. Like what happened?
I don't know.
And where is it? Where is it?
Yeah,
find
shift
it
in the composing world that it's very lacking for at least the three of us.
Well, and I think there are still some composers that can do it. I mean, here's an ironic twist. Who's the guy who did all the Pixar things that we like?
Michael Giacchino.
Michael Giacchino did the theme song to Space Mountain, the updated Space Mountain at Disney World. It's actually quite catchy.
Oh, that's awesome. I've not been.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's really good.
Is it the same as Hyperspace Mountain at Disneyland?
It was before Hyperspace.
Before Hyperspace Mountain. Is that a new thing now? Oh, yeah. Of course, because it's been years since.
Yeah, Hyperspace Mountain is just the Star Wars theme, which is fucking dope. Again, with a theme, you get on, and all of a sudden they start playing the Star Wars theme, and you're like, "I'm gonna cry! This is so great!"
Oh, I so need to get out there.
Oh, you got to do it.
Oh, it'd be so fun.
Right out loud. All right.
Yeah.
Look, where do we go? Where are Andy Rails?
Sound. The sound design in this, it's just pretty stellar. I mean, it was nominated for, I think, 6 Oscars. It won for Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, Best Makeup, Best Visual Effects. Cinematography and film editing both lost to JFK. But the sound in this film, I think it's pretty rock solid. And I think in home theater systems, I mean, I just watching it now, I practically like knocked the house down. The sound was so good.
Well, and this was one of those movies, like this movie and Twister, and these were those movies. No. Now hear me out. Wait, hear me out.
No, just a friend of mine's in Twister. That's funny. You know Sean Whalen, the actor Sean Whalen?
Yes.
Yes, he's a good friend of ours.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Also in the FP. Have you fucking seen the FP? You need to do this. We're gonna have I demand it. We're gonna have another podcast where you have seen the FP, and we can
then we can really
then
we can be friends.
Then we can be friends. Right now we're just acquaintances.
So the sound in this one, I'll never forget the theater that I went. These were the first movies that I attended that actually had a warning up front saying that this movie's sound may be too dynamic, too dramatic, too loud.
So I'm sorry, wait. You're saying this, and all I can envision is Grandpa Simpson sitting in the chair.
Well, right.
Turn it up!
That's right. And that is what burns. Because, of course, what am I going to say? It's R-rated and it's too loud? Please, I guess I should go roller skate? No. I'm going to see it 7 times today. I want a ticket for every showing. It was absolutely mind-blowing. And then the DVD release, this for the longest time was the DVD test film that you put in to test your sound system, because it was, I think, wasn't it like the first THX certified DVD?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I didn't look on the history of that.
I think
very well could have
been.
It
was bananas. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, the sound is just so good. And in a film like this, it needs to be. And I think rightly they won the Oscars for that. And Gary Rydstrom, who was involved in the sound in both the sound editing and sound mixing, is just one of those sound guys who does really impeccable work. So, I mean, the names that people were involved in this film, I mean, it just, you go down the list and it's just rock solid people from beginning to end. We already kind of talked about the whole series and the fact that these two are the only that exist in your eyes. Did you, by any chance, though, see the T2 3D Battle Across Time? I think it was a ride at, was it Universal that had this ride? I believe it was.
I maybe did that. There was, no, you know what? I think it was a T2. It was like an effects show thing.
Oh, they might have had one of those too. But they did a ride, and they actually got Arnold Schwarzenegger Edward Furlong, and Linda Hamilton to all come back and be in this video for this 3D. And at the time, it was like they brought them back, and they actually they go into the future and they blow up Skynet in the future, and it's kind of a fun little thing. I found it on YouTube and I rewatched it. So it's kind of a fun thing to revisit. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, they're pulling the whole 3D thing, because I think at the time this was one of the first 3D rides, and I think it was such a huge thing.
You know, my dad used to work. I live like 5 minutes away from Universal Studios right now. But like my dad used to work there when we were kids, and he would be on the lot. And so us as kids would just be like, fuck this. And so we would just go like sneak into Universal Studios, because like the, I don't know, the exit gates or whatever aren't locked. So you can just like walk in from the lot. And so we as little kids, like 13 years old, would just be like, all right. And we would walk in there and go just like fuck around at Universal Studios. And I think that's probably the era in which I saw the T2 like fire show ride situation that they had there. So that's what I remember from it.
Gotcha.
That and riding Jurassic Park about 1 million times when it first opened.
Is it still there?
It is still here. Yeah, it's still here.
Yeah. I just couldn't remember. It had been because I rode that also, I think, pretty close to when that ride first came out,
I went last month because they just opened the new Harry Potter world, of which I'm a tremendous fan, and it is awesome.
Well, this has been a great talk. Really, laundry list of things I've never done. Fantastic.
What, you know?
All right, we got it.
Awesome.
Let's power through this. What are we doing? You talked about awards?
I already kind of ran through the Oscars. Yeah, it lost only those two to JFK, and like I said, I really feel that this would have been a strong year for Linda Hamilton to get a nomination.
Should have.
Alas.
Yep.
Let's just see if we think that she did better than the five actresses. Oh, this was the Jodie Foster Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh yeah.
Nope.
That's fair. That's fair. And then Gina Davis, Thelma and Louise, Susan Sarandon, Thelma and Louise, Bette Midler, For the Boys, and Laura Dern, Rambling Rose. Yeah, I'd be happy to cut some of those out and put Linda Hamilton in.
I don't know. Silence of the Lambs was also probably on my list. Like I fucking love Silence of the Lambs. It's amazing.
I'm not saying I would cut Jodie Foster off. I would still give the award to her, because that's one of my favorites.
It's incredible.
But,
hey, we should jump into the numbers, Andy. How did it end up doing? We talked about it's a $106 million to make.
This was released. This was one of the big 4th of July weekend movies. July 3rd, 1991. This movie came out. It was
oh my god,
$102 million to make this film. I couldn't find anything as far as its prints and advertising that would have obviously increased the budget. But all told, that budget adjusted for today's dollars would be about $174.5 million. So that's a hefty budget still.
Not his biggest.
Which means that I worked on Fantastic Four, which was exactly that same budget. It should be just as good of a movie.
Absolutely, It should have been. This film ended up making at the box office $204.8 million domestically and $315 internationally, for a total of about $520 million adjusted. That's about $890 million. So this film did pretty well for itself at the box office. It ended up making an adjusted profit per finished minute about $5.2 million per finished minute, and that's the original cut. This film was the number one film.
Did you just say per finished minute?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
That's how much money this movie made for every minute of film.
No, I understand. I mean, it's more of like rhetorical. Like that's a real thing.
You want us to slow down and do it again?
That's just,
no, I don't.
That's something we do as a way to compare the different movies that we talk about.
What are you doing with your days? That's insane.
I know. It's pathetic. It really is. But this was the highest grossing film of 1991 and the highest grossing film still in Schwarzenegger's career.
Well, just wait. Andy,
really?
Where does that put it in
really?
In terms of the total gross on the spreadsheet?
This film ended up being the number one film of the films that we've done on the Speakeasy. This is the top ranked film. It beat out Casino Royale.
That's right.
As the highest grossing adjusted profit per finished minute. So this film is now number one at the top of the list.
It just won on a metric you didn't even know existed until just now. I call that a double win.
Brother.
Let's go.
Brother. Have you guys had to talk about this one before or no?
No, this
that's
is our
the
first
whole
time.
point.
Really?
We have not talked about it. I know.
Wow.
No judgment-free zone. Haven't we been over this?
Well, no, I was just about to say I'm so much more interesting than everybody else, obviously.
Every single film that you said you want to talk about, I think it would be a perfect addition to the show.
except for Back to the Future 3.
Hey,
no,
I would be happy to talk about that.
Stop it. I guarantee you guys, I fucking guarantee you, you go back, you watch it in succession, you watch that movie, and you will change your little sweet tunes.
I'm in your camp on that one. I do.
I guarantee it. A lot of people have watched it from a long far ago. Like, people have this weird stigma about this film. You go back and watch this film, and it is just the fucking pacing and the quirks, and like it really is just like this love story with Doc Brown. Like, it's terrific. I know you're making a face, I can see it, but it is. I promise you.
Okay, all right, duly noted. I will do it again. I'll watch.
I promise you. I doubt it.
It is what it is. You say things when you're on a podcast.
Oh, I see.
Ouch.
Okay, I'm going home.
Let's. I say we get in there and rank it.
Yes, let's do it. So we're going to do the flick chart, Sarah. This is what we had talked about.
Oh,
this is the flick chart. You don't need to do anything.
Somewhere?
You just this is just for our listeners' information. For those who haven't done this, you head over to flickchart.com. /the next reel, and that's where you'll find.
Is that for me to do?
You don't have to. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people.
Oh, you're not talking to me. Great. Back to the Future 3. Now we're not friends anymore.
The line must be drawn here, no further. So you head over to Flickchart.
But if we could figure out a way to push it. Anyone.
Head over to flickchart.com/the next reel, and you sign into your accounts. Please sign in. And then you're going to search for this very movie. You're going to search for it, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and say rank it. And that's where it's going to start. And our first ranking is, Andrew?
To kick it off, we're going to do Terminator 2 Judgment Day or The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Oh, Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Fantastic Rennie Harlan film, but Terminator 2 definitely takes it here. Sarah?
I mean, I've heard of Rennie Harlan. I never saw Cut Through Island. It's fine.
Next up, Terminator 2 Judgment Day or Boogie Nights. Sarah?
They're not even in the same
I know.
classification.
No, there's no.
However, Boogie Nights is fucking fantastic.
You're on an island. You're on a desert
terrific.
island. You get a video machine of some sort and a television, and that's it. You only have these two movies to choose from. What do you put on?
I'm not fucking watching Marky Mark on a desert island. So, yeah.
When else are you going to watch Marky Mark? I would one
not on a desert island.
Fair enough. I'm also going to be T2 on this one.
Yeah, Terminator 2 for me.
Kidding?
No. All right. It's getting tough now.
It's a terrific film, but it's not. No.
Terminator 2 Judgment Day or Fight Club.
Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
I love your.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. Fight Club it's up there for me.
Have you watched it recently?
Yes. Don't.
I will. Have you watched it
I'm
recently?
Just saying, Andy may break the tie. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. I'm going to have to break it in one direction.
In One Direction, the band One Direction?
Yes. Also on a desert island. You, One Direction, Terminator 2, and a television.
No.
And Marky Mark.
It's me, Tom Jones, and Elvis Presley on a desert island.
You're class.
Whatever.
That is class.
That's going to be a crazy desert island. That's great.
It's just these are just the facts, gentlemen.
I'm going to go with Terminator 2, Pete.
Then it doesn't. Then it doesn't matter.
That's right.
I have lost. It was a principled loss.
Now this one will be harder. Terminator 2 or Brazil. Brazil happens to be my favorite film.
I am going to be Terminator 2 on this one.
I'm going to be Terminator 2. I appreciate your favorite film, but this is one of mine, so I will say.
That's fine. That's fine. Terminator 2 takes it. Now we're at Terminator 2 or Requiem for a Dream.
Terminator 2.
There's a different pair.
That is different. I would say Terminator 2 because I can't watch Requiem for a Dream more than once because it is so goddamn good. It's a
hard film to watch.
It is such a good movie to teach children about drugs.
Exactly. I love Darren Aronofsky more than anything. He was one of my favorites. If at some point in my life or my career I could ever work with that man, I would just lose it. Like he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's a brilliant filmmaker. He's very creative, but Terminator 2 still takes it for me.
Yeah.
All right.
But they're completely different.
They are.
It's a totally
This is
different
what-
ballpark. Like, it's hard
This
to
is what we call a flick chart
compare
hate
those.
crime, where you're forced to choose between two movies that no right-thinking person would ever choose between. So.
Oh, it's the FMK. It's happening.
It's right. Terminator 2 or 7? Little David Fincher.
Terminator 2.
I'm going with 7 here.
I'm going with 7.
getting-
I have to go with 7. What's in the box?
What's in the box? What's in the box? I'm Brad Pitt. No. Sorry.
All right. Well, I'm sorry, but
No.
7 does take it on that one. Terminator 2 or Jaws? Oh, I'm going with Jaws. This is getting like
No,
way at the top of my
no.
list. now.
Yeah.
You guys need to, you gotta come out with something different.
We don't have a choice. I wish we had a
Yeah,
choice. It's totally random.
You know that my grandpa was a first AD and a UPM forever. He worked on, he may have worked on Jaws. He did Jaws 2, and my dad did Jaws 2 when he was like 17 years old and used to kill sharks and shit.
Oh.
Nuts.
Wow.
I note that you didn't vote. You just took another drink. So
Terminator 2,
you
I
did.
said.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right.
No, immediately. I said that before you
Andy,
guys
so
even said
you're
shit.
Jaws?
I'm Jaws, yeah. This is in your court then, Pete.
However, formidable theme song.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
John
Appreciate
Williams,
the score.
possibly at his finest.
Andy, I have to do Terminator.
Oh, wow.
That
All right.
surprises me. If I have to sit side by side and look at these, I think I'm going to do Terminator 2.
All right.
I agree.
That's fair. That is fair.
I may wake up really hungover. I don't know. We'll see if we'll see how well that sticks.
That leaves Terminator 2 at number 5 now on our list. So that's the end of Flick Chart ranking. We bumped it up to number 5 out of nearly 250 movies. So
What are the top 4? What are the 4 ahead of it?
Network is number 1.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Smith Goes to Washington, number 2. Raising Arizona, number 3. And 7, number 4. We've talked about a lot of very interesting movies. And this is now the highest ranked Speakeasy film.
Ooh, la la.
Yeah, there you go.
So
And so I
kudos to
assume
you.
that if you were going to do a star ranking out of this, it would be a 5-star film for you.
Yeah, no, this is one of my top. I mean, I have a very obviously interesting taste in film, and if you guys ever decide to watch the FP, you will understand.
Well, this is so that's the other ranking we do is letterbox.com/thenextreel. Our diary is over there for users of Letterbox. Check it out. And this, Andy, for me is also a 5-star film.
Absolutely 5-star for me. I just this is one of those movies that I rewatch, and even if I notice any problems with it, they're so easy to just put aside and just go along for the ride. This is one of the most enjoyable films to just sit and just let wash over me. It's just a fantastic movie.
Truly.
Yeah.
Soak it up. Guitars, Cadillacs, hillbilly music.
There you go.
It's on ya.
Well, Sarah, so if people want to find you, where should they find you online? Are you online? Do you have an online presence? Do people like...
I mean, I don't know that I have a presence, but I'm there.
Try not to undersell it.
SarahTrost.com is my website. I'm Sarah Trost on Facebook. I am Sarah Trost Design on Instagram. I am the Sarah Trost on Twitter. All of these things.
Well, this is also. I mean, this is the plug part. So, what are you working on? What are you proud of? Where can we see your work?
What am I working on?
The FP2.
Well, the FP2. The FP2 is coming up. So I'm working on the FP2, which you can't see any of that yet because I'm working on it now. However, you can see some of the trailers on YouTube for Beats of Rage. There are a couple different teaser trailers that are up. If you haven't seen the FP, you should probably fucking watch the FP because if you're listening to this podcast, you would like it. I've got...
can't wait to watch it now.
I cannot fucking believe you guys haven't seen this.
I'm embarrassed to not have seen it.
Yeah, or maybe you would never talk to me again. So actually, I'm happy that you
did the show first.
I'm happy you did the show first because maybe you wouldn't have spoken to me. So we don't know. But maybe you should watch it and then we'll try again. I've got Vice Principals for HBO coming up July 17th, 10:30 Sundays. It is Rolling Stone just said it was the best new comedy of the summer, which I happen to agree with.
It looks terrific.
It
was
great cast in that
it
too.
was. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like They're so good. It is so funny. I loved Eastbound and Down, so I couldn't believe that I was up for this job. I got this job, and it is better. It is better. And I just love it, and I cannot wait for people to see it. So I'm incredibly excited about that.
Now that's a plug.
I'm just excited about it.
Internet. That's not a plug.
Well, but that's true. I mean, I'm sort of on the internet. I don't know, but like I've got other, stuff that I do is other places.
Well, I'll tell you, we sure appreciate you hanging out with us and talking about this movie. It was an awesome, awesome pick, and this is probably the best use of finally ever. Finally, we got T2 on the list. So.
Well, thanks again for joining us in Next Reel's Speakeasy, Sarah.
Well, thank you for having me.
And for those of you out there, we hope you enjoyed the show. If you like what you heard, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Instagram, Pinterest, Letterboxd, Flickchart, and YouTube. And don't forget to head over on iTunes and leave us a rating and a comment. It really does help more people find us. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, stay here. I'll be back.
I don't want to get you around my makeup. I'm gonna use you to be my friend.
I love having these wonderful chats on movies we like with all these industry guests talking about some of their favorite movies.
So many great conversations on that show about so many great movies.
We have so much fun having these conversations, but producing the show week after week does require a lot of work behind the scenes. If you'd like to help support our efforts, one easy way is by using our Originals page when shopping for books and movies that we've covered.
Your purchases made through our links give us a small commission at no extra cost to you and allow us to keep having these incredible conversations.
The Originals page at thenextreel.com/originals links to the source material for all the adapted film discussions on the Next Reel's family of podcasts. Purchasing through our links supports the show.
It's your one-stop shop for Amazon and Apple links where you can buy your copy of the original source material.
Original material for movies we like, movies like Casino Royale,
The Silent Partner,
Never Let Me Go,
Silver Linings Playbook,
There Will Be Blood, based on Upton Sinclair's Oil.
I believe it's Oil!
Oh yeah, I forgot the exclamation point.
Plus, by using those links to buy your next read, Apple and Amazon show us a little bit of love, which allows you to support our family of shows with minimal effort.
thenextreel.com/originals. It's a great way to support the show and find your next page turner.
That's right. Head over to thenextreel.com/originals to pick out your next read and dig in today.